Why is there a woman named Vanessa thanking you for the best week in the Maldives? I asked, just as the entire dinner table fell silent. My husband grabbed the iPad too late as message notifications kept popping up across the screen. His mother smirked. Maybe you should stop snooping for once, she muttered. Then a photo synced automatically onto the dining room display, and in a single second, my entire world shattered. My name is Danielle Harper, and I am 34 years old. I have spent the last 12 years of my life as a respiratory therapist. If you have ever been in a hospital at 3 in the morning, you know the smell I live in. It is a mix of heavy industrial bleach, cheap coffee, and the sharp scent of latex. I spend my days and nights listening to the rhythmic clicking and whistling of ventilators. I help people breathe when their own bodies have forgotten how to do it. It is an exhausting job that leaves my back aching and my mind numb. I often took every extra shift the hospital offered. I worked holidays and weekends. I worked double shifts until my eyes were bloodshot. I did it because my husband, Ethan, always had a reason why his startup was not making money yet. He called himself a visionary and a founder. He spent his days in coffee shops with his laptop while I spent mine in the ICU. He claimed his income was unstable and that we needed my steady paycheck to keep our heads above water. I believed him because I loved him. I was the dependable one in his family. I was the one who remembered birthdays and paid the bills. Ethan came from a family that cared about things I did not understand. They cared about the brand of your shoes and the model of your car. They treated me like I was the boring one because I wore scrubs instead of designer dresses. I was the practical wife who kept the world spinning while Ethan chased his dreams. I had survived years of burnout and the quiet, crushing pain of infertility. We had tried for a baby for 3 years. Each negative test felt like a hole being punched in my soul. I saved every penny from my overtime shifts for 2 years to pay for a dream anniversary trip to the Maldives. I wanted to sit on white sand and listen to the ocean instead of hospital alarms. Ethan promised me that this trip would be our fresh start. He said we would reconnect and find our way back to each other. Then, just 3 days before our flight, he came home with a long face. He told me that business problems forced him to cancel everything. He said the money was gone and we had to stay home. I was devastated, but I did not argue. I ignored the red flags because I wanted my marriage to survive. I was not glamorous or rich, but I had something they did not expect. I had a long memory. Have you ever been the person who carries the entire weight of a relationship on your shoulders? It is a heavy burden that nobody ever thanks you for. You are the one who provides the emotional support and the financial safety net, while the other person just takes and takes. It is exhausting to realize that your loyalty is being treated like a weakness. People think because you are kind and steady that you are also blind. If you have ever been underestimated inside your own marriage, I want you to know that I see you. If you have ever had your in-laws make you feel like you were not good enough for their family, you are in the right place. Subscribe to this channel right now if you have ever felt like a stranger in your own home. I want to build a community where we support those who have been overlooked. Share your story in the comments if you have ever ignored your gut feeling because you loved someone. Tell me about the red flags you pushed aside. Click that hype button right now because the betrayal I am about to describe is something you will not believe. The dinner happened on a Friday night at a place called the Silver Oak. It was a very expensive restaurant that Ethan's parents loved. Ethan invited me to join them just days after he told me our anniversary trip was dead. I did not want to go. I wanted to stay in bed and cry about the vacation I worked so hard to earn. But Ethan insisted. He said his parents wanted to see us. The restaurant smelled like expensive lavender and heavy red wine. The lighting was low and the music was a soft piano track that made me feel even more lonely. During dinner, Ethan started acting like a bully. He told his parents that I was too obsessed with fantasy vacations. He joked that I spent too much time dreaming about the Maldives instead of focusing on reality. His father laughed and his sister Chloe joined in. His mother looked at me over her wine glass. She told me that maybe if I spent less money on candles and more money on my appearance, Ethan would not be such a stressed man. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks. I looked down at my plate of pasta and felt like I was choking. Ethan's Apple Watch kept buzzing on the table. It was a sharp, annoying sound that happened every few seconds. He looked nervous. He kept tapping the watch face to clear the alerts. Then, the family iPad that was sitting on the table for Chloe's kids to use suddenly lit up. It was synced to Ethan's accounts. A series of emails popped up in a row. They were travel confirmations. They were for a 5-star resort in the Maldives. The dates were the exact same dates we were supposed to go. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Then a message appeared from a woman named Vanessa. She thanked Ethan for the best week of her life in the Maldives. She said she was still smiling about waking up beside him every morning in the overwater bungalow. The table went dead silent. Ethan lunged for the iPad, but he was too slow. I saw the photos start to sync too. There was a picture of Ethan and a blonde woman on a boat. They were both holding drinks and laughing. He did not look like a man with business problems. He looked like a man who was having the time of his life with my money. When I started to cry, Ethan did not comfort me. He got angry. He told me I was embarrassing him in a public place. He said I was being dramatic over a simple misunderstanding. Chloe pulled out her phone and started recording me. She whispered that I was having a mental breakdown. The night ended when Ethan stood up and walked out of the restaurant. His mother stayed behind just long enough to tell me that men cheat when they feel trapped by a boring wife. I went home to find that I could not get inside. Ethan had changed the locks on our front door that same night. All my things were sitting in trash bags on the driveway. It was raining and the plastic bags were slick and cold. I had to call a coworker named Sarah. She let me stay in her guest room. It was a tiny space that smelled like stale coffee and old books. I felt like my life was over. Ethan did not stop his attack. He started calling our relatives and friends. He told them that I had become unstable and paranoid. He told them that the stress of the hospital had finally made me snap. People I had known for years stopped answering my texts. My own mother-in-law sent me a message saying I needed professional help. Only one person reached out to me. It was a distant cousin named Beth. She called me from a hidden number. She told me that Ethan was hiding massive financial problems. His startup was a shell. He was using the money I earned to keep up his image. He was drowning in debt and using me as the excuse for why he was failing. I went online and saw that Ethan was posting photos of himself at the gym and at parties. He wrote captions about how hard it was to rebuild his life after escaping a toxic marriage. He looked happy while I was wearing the same set of scrubs for 3 days because I could not get to my clothes. Then I found the bank statements. Ethan had drained our joint savings account. He took every dollar I saved for the Maldives. He used my blood, sweat, and tears to buy jewelry for Vanessa. A few weeks later, there was a family barbecue that I had to attend to get my legal papers. Ethan stood in the middle of the yard and yelled at me. He told everyone that I always cared more about being a victim than being a wife. I walked into the kitchen to get a glass of water and heard his mother talking. She told a neighbor that Vanessa was a much more sophisticated choice for a man like Ethan. I stood there in the shadows and felt a coldness wash over me. I stopped being sad. I stopped being the victim. I started documenting everything. Every lie he told and every cent he stole. I watched him try to pressure me into signing divorce papers without a lawyer. He thought I was too broken to fight back. He thought my silence meant I had given up. He was wrong. They had no idea who I really was. For the last 4 years, I had been building a secret life online. I started an anonymous channel where I gave relationship advice. I used the stories I heard from patients in the hospital. I talked about emotional trauma and how to spot a manipulator. My voice was calm and honest, and people loved it. The channel grew until I had hundreds of thousands of followers. I was making more money from the channel than I was from the hospital. I kept it a secret because Ethan and his family always mocked people who worked on the internet. They called it a fake job for people with no talent. I used that to my advantage. While they were busy laughing at me, I was building a fortune and a community. I had been saving every screenshot and every recording for a long time. I knew Ethan liked to delete things when he got caught. I had backups of everything on 3 different drives. I had his financial records and his messages to Vanessa. I had his mother's voice notes where she told him how to hide money from me. I had a plan that would finish him. I just needed the right moment to show my face. My childhood friend Rachel was the only person who knew the whole truth. She had hated Ethan since the day she met him. She said he had the eyes of a shark. Rachel helped me organize my evidence into a digital presentation. She reminded me that I did not owe these people anything. I had protected them for years, and they had thrown me away like trash. Rachel found out that Ethan was planning a massive launch event for his startup. He had invited every big investor in the city. He thought this event would make him a millionaire. He was telling everyone that he was finally free of his baggage. My online audience was waiting for my next video. They knew something big was coming because I told them the story of a woman who was about to take her life back. Ethan assumed I was hiding in my tiny apartment being ashamed. He did not know that Rachel and I were working late every night to make sure his downfall was perfect. The launch event was held at a very modern art gallery downtown. The walls were all white and the floor was polished concrete. It felt like an icebox. Everyone was dressed in black and drinking expensive champagne. Ethan was at the front of the room. He was wearing a suit that I had paid for. He stood next to Vanessa. She was wearing a red dress and smiling at the cameras. Ethan got on the microphone and started his speech. He talked about how hard he had worked. He even mentioned me without saying my name. He said he had survived a very difficult and toxic year. He looked at Vanessa and called her his savior. I walked into the room through the back door. I was wearing a black dress and my hair was done perfectly. I did not look like the tired nurse they knew. I looked like a woman with a mission. Ethan saw me and his face went pale. He tried to laugh it off. He told the security guards that his unstable ex was here and to keep things classy. I did not scream. I did not cry. I walked straight to the tech booth. I had already spoken to the intern running the visuals. I told him I was part of the surprise presentation. I plugged my phone into the system. The giant screen behind Ethan changed. It did not show his startup logo. It showed the receipt for the Maldives trip paid for with our joint savings. Then it showed a video of Ethan telling Vanessa that I was just a paycheck to him. The audio was crystal clear. It echoed off the white walls. "I am only with her because she is easy to control," Ethan's voice said. The room went so quiet you could hear the bubbles in the champagne glasses. Vanessa looked at the screen and then at Ethan. She realized he had told her he was already divorced months ago. I looked at the investors. I told them that Ethan's startup was built on debt and lies. Rachel started walking through the crowd. She was handing out folders full of his real financial statements. Ethan's mother tried to run up to me. She was screaming that I was a liar. But then a video played of her. It showed her telling Ethan to move our house into her name so I could not get it in the divorce. The investors started putting down their drinks. They were walking toward the exit before the video even finished. Vanessa took off her red heels and walked out without saying a word. Ethan was left standing on the stage under a giant picture of his own betrayal. He begged me to stop the video. I looked him in the eye and told him that he had ruined his own life a long time ago. I walked out of the gallery and into the cool night air. I felt like I could finally breathe. The divorce went faster than I expected. With all the evidence of financial fraud, Ethan had no choice but to give me what I was owed. He lost the house and his business went bankrupt within a month. I moved into a new apartment that is filled with sunlight and plants. It does not smell like bleach. It smells like peace. My online channel is no longer anonymous. I told my followers my name and showed them my face. My story helped thousands of other women realize they were being manipulated too. Rachel and I spend our weekends planning real vacations. I am going to the Maldives next month. This time, I am paying for myself, and I am going alone. Ethan's family is completely broken. They are fighting each other over the little money they have left. I realized that betrayal is a fire. It can either burn you up, or it can forge you into something much stronger. I chose to be the steel. I realized that the people who laughed at my silence never imagined that silence was where I built my strength. If you have ever been through something like this, you know that the recovery is not easy. It takes time to learn how to trust yourself again. I want you to remember that you are not the names they called you. You are not the victim they tried to make you. Share your thoughts in the comments if you have ever had to rebuild your life from nothing. I want to know how you found your voice again. Subscribe to this channel so we can keep growing together. We are a community of survivors, and we do not let people walk over us anymore. Your support means the world to me. Click that hype button if you think Ethan got exactly what he deserved. It helps the story reach more people who might be trapped in a lie right now. I hope this story gave you the strength you needed today. It is never too late to take control of your own life. Let me know if this hit home for you by liking the video and sharing it with a friend who might be struggling. Click hype to keep our community strong and growing. Your comments and your likes help me keep telling these truths. We are building something powerful here. Stay strong and keep your eyes open. I will see you in the next story.